Futurama is full of weird men, loud men, and men who pushed fans past their limit. These are the most hated male characters in Futurama, a big piece of garbage. Season 1, Episode 8. Every hero has a rival, but Professor Farnsworth's rival is not charming or cool. It's Professor Wernstrom, the man who wakes up each morning ready to insult him. The episode opens at the Big Investors Symposium, where Farnsworth is excited and wants to show off his work. He brings the crew along, hoping for one proud moment. But guess who's waiting there? Wernstrom. And he can't handle the professor having a good moment. Wernstrom immediately starts insulting the professor the moment he arrives. He even warns him to go home before he embarrasses himself again.
Go home before you embarrass yourself, old man!
All because he still holds a ridiculous old grudge. The professor recalls the time when Wernstrom was once his brightest student at Mars University, but after being given an A-, he swore revenge and never let it go. The contest begins and Wernstrom shows the crowd his new invention. It's a reverse scuba suit that lets fish breathe the water while walking on land. Strange, but okay. Then Wernstrom turns to Farnsworth and mocks him for last year's invention, the death clock. He laughs about how embarrassing it was. Wernstrom had no idea that the professor was about to present the exact same invention again. The moment Farnsworth realizes this, he panics. Farnsworth immediately draws a new design on a napkin. He presents it as the smelloscope, but he smears the drawing and becomes a joke in front of everyone. Wernstrom stands there enjoying every second. He stands up and insults him in front of everyone.
I give your invention the worst grade imaginable, an A-.
Sad and feeling like a bit of a loser, Professor Farnsworth returns to Planet Express. Fry tries to lift his spirits and tells him not to give up. The professor decides to turn his idea into a real invention. He suddenly remembers smelloscope is actually his real invention. He asks Fry to test it, and Fry can actually smell all the planets. Fry keeps testing it by sniffing different objects from space, trying to figure out how it works. Suddenly, he catches a horrible smell, so strong it almost knocks him out. He asks the professor what it is. The professor explains that Fry has just detected the smelliest object in the entire universe. A giant ball of garbage from old New York, flying straight toward the city. It's gonna hit in 72 hours, and New York will be completely destroyed. The professor immediately tells the mayor about the danger. The mayor calls his science advisor, and guess who walks in? It's Wernstrom. He smiles and asks for proof that it is the garbage ball. He acts like the professor is making things up. Right then, the mayor gets a warning message from Neptune. The message confirms the huge garbage ball is real and heading straight for the city. The mayor turns to Wernstrom and asks him to save everyone. But Wernstrom doesn't help right away. He gives a long list of demands instead. He wants tenure, a big research grant, full access to the lab, and 5 graduate students. Now, who asks for gifts when the world is in danger? When Wernstrom leaves, the professor quickly makes a new plan. He suggests creating another giant ball of garbage and firing it at the old one. The whole city works fast to build the garbage ball and launch it into space. The professor hopes his calculations are correct. Wernstrom, of course, does nothing helpful. He only stands there and talks nonsense.
And if my calculations are correct, we're all going to die horribly!
The new garbage ball hits the first one, pushing it into the sun, whilst the new ball flies out of the solar system. New York is saved, and the mayor awards the professor with the Inventor's Award. And the best part, they take the award away from Wernstrom for abandoning everyone. It's the only time Wernstrom doesn't smile. Wernstrom earns his place as one of the most hated male characters in Futurama because he just doesn't help. He insults, mocks, and refuses to support anyone. Even when the city's about to be crushed, he prefers to walk away and pout. Now let's talk about someone far more dangerous than annoying, Roberto. Insane in the Mainframe. Season 3, Episode 11. Some criminals steal money. Roberto steals peace, sanity, and every calm moment in the room. It all starts when Fry wants to open a retirement fund. He and Bender walk into the Big Apple Bank, and that's when Roberto jumps in to rob the place. While leaving, he hands Fry and Bender bags of money like they're a part of his plan. Can you imagine being sucked into a robbery you didn't even plan? Soon the cops arrive and arrest both Bender and Fry. In court, Fry tries to tell the truth. He wanted to say Roberto was the real robber, but Roberto sat in the audience and showed Fry his knife in secret. Fry then obviously got scared. Just then, the judge's phone rings. He listens for a moment, realizes it's a threat call aimed at Fry, and calmly hands the phone to him. Yeah, he actually passed the call to Fry. What a legal system. Nothing says justice like a judge personally passing a threat to the person it's meant for.
I refuse to testify on the grounds that my organs will be chopped up into a patty.
Roberto's threat worked, and Fry stays silent. The judge called this a legal precedent. Fry and Bender plead insanity to avoid worse trouble, but the human asylum is full, so both of them get dumped together in a robot asylum. Yeah, a human placed in a robot asylum. What could go wrong? Inside the Hal Institute, Fry suffers through strange physical tests. The robots refuse to believe Fry is human. They say that if he is in a robot asylum, then he must be a robot. Their logic makes no sense, but they stand by it. Fry even gets a roommate named Malfunctioning Eddie, who explodes when surprised. But the real nightmare starts when Eddie gets released, and Fry's new roommate walks in. It's Roberto, the same wild robot from the bank robbery. The same robot who still has the knife. Roberto talks fast, waves his knife around, and scares Fry every second. Finally, the asylum releases Fry and says he was cured. But here comes the twist. They didn't fix him at all. They made everything worse. Now Fry truly believes he is a robot. He talks like a robot, moves like a robot, and even looks for his robot function. Poor Fry. Roberto eventually escapes the asylum by breaking a window like it's made of paper. He takes Bender with him because Bender thinks running with a crazy robot sounds fun. Later, Roberto, along with Bender, returns to rob the exact same bank again. Yep, the same bank for the third time. Does he know other banks exist? After the robbery, Roberto runs straight to Planet Express to hide, but the police follow him there. Roberto pulls out his knife and takes everyone hostage. He waves the knife at anything that moves. Even Bender looks nervous now. Fry wakes up from a drunken refueling and still believes he's a battle robot. He steps forward like a hero, even though he has no plan. Roberto stabs a can of oil in Fry's pocket. The oil leaks out, and Roberto thinks Fry is a real robot. That's all the proof he needs. Roberto panics and jumps out the window to escape. The police catch him right away because even chaos has limits. Roberto's madness turns every place into danger, and this episode shows exactly why he's one of the most hated male characters in Futurama. Every scene with him feels like a warning sign with legs. He robs banks for fun, threatens Fry at court, scares everyone in the asylum, and tries to stab anything that moves. Even other robots think he needs help, and if a robot scares robots, you know he belongs on this list. If Roberto wasn't enough, here comes someone even more annoying. Hubert Farnsworth, A Clone of My Own, Season 2, Episode 10. If there's one character in Futurama who's made fans want to throw something at the screen, it's Hubert Farnsworth, the professor's know-it-all clone. A Clone of My Own was supposed to introduce the next great inventor of the 31st century. Instead, it gave us a brat who spent the whole episode complaining, correcting, and killing every good joke in sight. It all begins when Professor Farnsworth receives a notice from Mars University. He assumes he's in trouble, but when he arrives, he discovers the crew has planned a surprise birthday party for his 150th year. There's everything, a film about his life, plenty of awkward cheers. But instead of enjoying the attention, the professor suddenly panics about his own age.
My life is over.
No, it isn't.
Mortality hits him like a falling space anvil, and he starts thinking about who will carry on his brilliant work. Then Professor decided it was time to name a successor. He disappeared into his lab, working in secret for days, while everyone at Planet Express waited nervously, each one secretly hoping to be chosen. Finally, Farnsworth emerged, looking proud and slightly insane, and made his big announcement.
My closest living relative? Oh yeah. My clone, Hubert Farnsworth.
The professor explained that he had started the cloning process 12 years earlier, using skin cells he plucked from a strange growth on his back. And when the tiny clone finally came to life, the first thing he said wasn't hello or dad. Nope, his very first words were,
What? You've never seen a genius's wiener before?
That line alone was enough to tell everyone what kind of brat they were dealing with. He even implied that no one around him was smart enough to be worth his time. From the moment Hubert opened his mouth, he was unbearable.
There's someone I'd like you to meet. His name is Depth Perception.
Not cute, not curious, just a smaller, meaner version of the professor without any of his charm. He strutted around the lab like he owned the place, degrading and criticizing everyone. When the professor proudly gave him a tour of all his greatest inventions, Cubert didn't look impressed for a second. He said,
I didn't realize you were the inventor of the junk heap. Don't you have any worthwhile inventions?
imagine spending a lifetime creating world-changing technology, only for your own clone to call it trash. Cubert wasn't just rude, he was the kind of arrogant genius who didn't earn the title. While having dinner at a restaurant, the professor happily talks about how proud he is to have a clone who will carry on his work. But Cubert ruins the moment in seconds. He coldly says,
I may be identical to you in every possible way, but that doesn't mean I'm anything like you.
I don't want to be an inventor. I want to be someone useful, like a teacher or a prison guard. Then, with a smirk, he adds,
In your entire life, your only half-decent invention was me. And I didn't turn out like you wanted either.
Those words cut deep. The professor's smile fades and tears quietly roll down his cheeks. Depressed and tired, he records a farewell message revealing a dark secret. He's not 150. He's 160. That's the age when robots from the Sunset Squad come to take the elderly away to the mysterious near-Death Star. Moments later, a grim, hooded robot in a flying hearse arrives and whisks the professor off into the storm. The crew panics and sets out to rescue him. Even at this moment, Cubert keeps talking badly about the mission, saying it's impossible and will never work. To sneak into the near-Death Star, Fry disguises himself as Farnsworth, with Cubert on his back pretending to be a hump. It's ridiculous, but it somehow works. They finally find the professor hooked to a life support machine, unconscious. But before they can unplug him and escape, the robots catch on. A wild chase follows, complete with lasers and alarms. The moment they rush to escape, the ship's engine blows out, and only the professor knows how to fix it. But he's unconscious. Just when things seem hopeless, Cubert, yes, the same kid who spent the whole episode whining, suddenly claims he knows how to fix the ship's damaged engines. Why? Because he learned it in a dream. Sound familiar? It's exactly what Farnsworth said years ago. The irony is enough to make anyone groan. The crew barely escapes, and Cubert finally admits he wants to follow in the professor's footsteps after all. And that's the problem. Cubert spends 20 minutes being unbearable, then has one nice moment, and we're supposed to forgive him? No chance. He vanishes for long stretches after this episode, and honestly, fans didn't miss him. His character was meant to continue the professor's legacy, but instead, he became the annoying kid who insulted everyone and nearly ruined the show's rhythm. Cubert spends the whole episode whining, correcting everyone, and destroying the mood in every scene. He disappears for long periods after this episode, and viewers were perfectly fine with that. He was supposed to be the next great Farnsworth, but instead, he became the kid everyone secretly wished the lasers had hit. And finally, someone who has earned the mutual hate of everyone, Zap Brannigan. Brannigan, Begin Again, Season 2, Episode 2. Zap Brannigan's the kind of man who can ruin a whole day by simply walking into the room. In this episode, he does something even worse. He ruins an entire military base. The story begins with the Planet Express crew bringing giant scissors to the new DOOP headquarters. It's a simple job. Even Fry could do it without exploding anything. But then Zap shows up. And when Zap shows up, peace leaves the room. He sees the crew and decides they are evil spies from the neutral planet. Why? Because the neutral planet is so neutral it must be hiding something. Only Zap could hate a place that literally feels nothing. He arrests everyone and drags them onto his ship. Then Kif, in his soft, tired voice, reminds him that it's time to cut the ribbon.
Sir, you're supposed to be cutting the ribbon right now.
Zap nods and says,
No matter, I'll simply cut it from here with the ship's laser.
Zap jumps into his captain's chair and aims the laser at the ribbon. He presses the button with full confidence. 1 second later, the laser fires. Another second later, the entire DOOP headquarters explodes like a cardboard box in a storm. The new base doesn't even survive 1 full minute, and Zap still acts shocked, as if the laser magically pressed itself. Soon he gets dragged into a courtroom while the whole galaxy watches. Instead of looking sorry,
Absolutely, 99% not guilty.
only Zap could blow up a space station and still talk like he forgot to pay a parking ticket. Leela finally has enough and stands up to him. She calls him the sorriest captain she's ever seen. But Zap uses the moment to humiliate her and forces her to admit they had a one-night stand. This man has no shame. After a short trial, Zap gets kicked out of DOOP, but before leaving, he stands up and says he wants to make a final statement. He proudly declares,
You can take away a man's title and his uniform, but you can never take away his integrity or his honor.
The room stays quiet because even the jury knows he's still talking nonsense. Then he does something even worse. He says,
Plus, it was mostly Kif's fault.
What?
Really, Kif is the one stopping him from doing dumb things every day. The judge strips Kif of his rank too. He gets dishonorably discharged, even though he did nothing wrong. Zap walks out acting proud, as if throwing Kif under the bus was some great act of leadership. Poor Kif. He loses his job, his dignity, and still has to follow Zap around like a sad sidekick. Now jobless, they wander the streets like two lost toddlers. They end up at Planet Express, where they beg for work. Leela tries to stop them, but the professor hires Zap anyway. He thinks it'll make their company look better. I mean, has he met Zap? On their next mission, the crew must deliver pillows to a heavy gravity planet. Leela gives a clear order, one pillow at a time. But they don't listen and took every pillow at once. The dolly collapses in 1 second. Gravity wins again. Leela gets angry and tells them they must carry every pillow by hand. It feels like punishment because it is. Zap uses this moment to stir trouble. He tells Fry and Bender that Leela doesn't deserve to be the leader. He acts like he is the great hero they need. Soon, they sneak onto the ship, handcuff Leela, and declare Zap the new captain. Yeah, they actually listen to him for a few minutes. Zap proudly locks Leela in the laundry room. It feels like the perfect prison for his tiny brain. Then he shares his big plan. He wants to attack the neutral planet and earn back his old job. Kif warns him it's a terrible idea. Zap ignores him like always and humiliates him again. At first, Fry and Bender enjoy being under Zap's rule. He lets them relax and act lazy, but the fun ends fast when they learn the mission is a death trap. Even they understand it will kill them. They finally free Leela and she takes control again. With Fry and Bender's help, she stops Zap's ridiculous attack. As soon as danger appears, Zap jumps off the ship with Kif. They leave the crew to clean up the mess. When they return to Earth, Leela lies and says Zap was brave. She does this so he won't try to join Planet Express again. And it works. DOOP takes him back, giving the universe the worst captain in red once more. So there you have it. From bad captains to crazy robots, these men have tested every fan's patience. They caused chaos, started fights, ruined missions, and somehow still show up with a smile. Think we missed a character? Tell us in the comments. And if you agree these guys deserve their own Do Not Approach list, hit like, share with other Futurama fans, and subscribe for more cartoon madness.